Hi everyone, it's Charlotte Eléa, and welcome to this fourth video on embracing vulnerability. So this week I want to talk to you all about how we can make ourselves bigger. And so this video is going to be all about owning our emotional needs. Really owning them, allowing our emotional needs to guide us, allowing ourselves to become big in our emotional needs. And I want to start off this video by telling you a little story about my dear kitty Lily. She passed away this weekend, and I've been heavily grieving her loss. And yet I felt called to, in her honor, come and do this video for you all this week. I've been sitting on this topic actually for several days because I've been planning the topics of these videos in advance, but I haven't really been planning on how I'm going to present it until the day of, and I get inspired and stories come to me or something happens to me and I'm inspired on how to present all of this to you. So I want to tell you a little story about Lily. When I adopted her when she was only 2 months old, when I was still living in Portland, just weeks after I graduated college over 17 years ago. And it had only been a few weeks after I adopted her, and so she was still very tiny. She was less than 3 months old. She was probably about that big maybe. And she was sitting in the middle of the living room when my roommate came home with a friend, and this friend brought in these two really big, like messy, hairy, panting dogs. And there's two of them, and they weren't on leashes. And all of a sudden Lily just spread her legs and puffed up really big as she could, as big as this tiny little kitten could. And she just started growling and hissing and standing her ground. And of course I came in, I swooped her up because I was scared that the dogs would get to her. But I also thought, oh man, this little tiny cat has got a major ball of fire within her. She's got so much courage. She can really take care of herself. And that experience always so well defined her personality, how she filled any room that she was in. She wasn't intimidated by anyone except for really big repairmen with their heavy boots. That's the only kind of person she was a little bit scared of. And whenever we'd have people over, parties, she would just wander from person to person and sit on their lap. And she just owned every room she was in. And she filled the space. And she never allowed herself to slink away from any situation she was in. And whenever she wanted something, she got her way. So her willpower, her fiery energy has been such an inspiration for me over these past 17 years. And she will continue to guide me now that she's gone. And I've been sitting with this story and wanted to share that with you because it's such an important lesson for us all in really owning our emotional needs and putting that forward in guiding us. And owning our emotional needs means that we take ownership over getting them met rather than having someone else meet them for us, rather than having that expectation external to us. We take the lead in getting those emotional needs met and knowing which are crucial to us and not backing down from them. And this is a very vulnerable thing to do. That's just why I'm talking about it in this video. And so I want to talk about another experience of mine. Several years ago, about 10 years ago, I would say, maybe a bit more than that actually. I was in therapy. And I had a therapist who was one of those kind of nice therapists. I mean, I loved her and I got so much wonderful guidance from her, and she really held me emotionally, and I saw her for several years. But she wasn't a therapist that would give a lot of advice, right? She'd kind of hold the space and allow me to emote and allow me to kind of come to understandings of things on my own, kind of guide me very gently. But there was one day I was really, really struggling in a relationship. I was with a woman who we were just not meant for each other at all. And I was not getting my emotional needs yet met, and I was just really unhappy. And so I came to the session, and I would often, process with her about my interactions with this woman I was with and how I would just end up so disappointed over and over again. And I remember there was one day that I said to her, like, is there something I'm doing wrong? What am I doing wrong that I just can't get these needs met? Like, what is going on? What am I doing wrong? And she was like, well, actually, and I was like, oh, okay, she's actually going to give me some advice. And she told me, Charlotte, you have a way of trying to get your needs met indirectly. I was like, okay, what does that mean? And she said, well, you go about indirect ways of trying to get your needs met. So, for example, you get angry at her when she doesn't know your emotional needs and you expect her already to know them. Or you act passive aggressively and hide your emotional needs away and then do little things where you're trying to get her to read your mind or pick up on the fact that you're angry with her or upset with her without just explicitly telling her what you need. And it was coming from a place of being ashamed of my emotional needs and scared that if I was to really, really put out there what I was needing, that she would reject me or she wouldn't be able to meet my needs, right? And because my ultimate fear was rejection and abandonment. And so I've been holding this wound for a really long time that my emotional needs would make somebody leave me. But it was a huge turning point because it allowed me to begin to take ownership over those emotional needs. So there's a lot of ways that we all sometimes try to get our needs met indirectly. And I mentioned a couple, right? So sometimes we have this expectation that others can read our minds and can just intuit what we need without having to say it. And sometimes other people can intuit what we need, but that doesn't mean that that they still don't need us to own it and present it to them. So there's that. So we might get angry at someone because we say, you should have known this. You should have known that I needed that, right? I think this is an experience that we all relate to. We also sometimes we get kind of manipulative, right? So we kind of go the backhand way of getting our needs met. We'll present it as something entirely different. Maybe we even present it as them getting their own needs when we're actually trying to get our own needs met, right? So we use manipulation to kind of be able to keep our emotional needs in hiding. We might act passive aggressively, which is what I mentioned before, right? When my therapist pointed out to me that it would come out in these kind of like little remarks of like self-pity or disappointment, right? Which then the other person's like, oh, it's like, why are you mad at me? But I can't quite tell why you're upset, but you just seem upset. And it can be incredibly confusing actually to the other person to do that. That is just like the fuel for an argument. If you want to create an argument in a relationship, start acting passive aggressive with your needs. I don't actually want you to do that. So those are a lot of the ways that we can indirectly try to get our needs met. And we do this because we are scared that our emotional needs will be too big too much, and they will cause the other person to leave us, to reject us, or we might just be profoundly disappointed in that person. They might not be able to meet our needs, and we are afraid of the wound that will trigger, or that we just won't be able to sit with that, right? But here's the thing. As soon as I started then owning my emotional needs and taking this big, scary step and courageous step of speaking them and explicitly stating them, I need this from you, then something switched, because you know what? I discovered that she couldn't meet those needs. And she had to then return and say, no, I can't. And that gave me not the freedom, but the clarity that this relationship just was never going to work. And my emotional needs started guiding me, that I took ownership that I deserved to have those needs met. And coming into that direct relationship was so empowering. It gave me the strength to leave that relationship. It gave me the strength to live on my own, and to know that those emotional, if she wouldn't meet those emotional needs, I can meet some of those myself, and I could find someone else to meet them. That I deserve that. That is what I deserve. That was my, non-negotiables in a partnership. Partnership is really important to me. So I learned that I could look for that somewhere else. And so this is really important. When we own our emotional needs, really take ownership over them, and learn to love ourselves for them, and to feel like we deserve to have them met, guess what? Sometimes our circles kind of thin out, because there will be people you'll discover in your life that just don't meet those needs. And this is incredibly freeing though, because when you are able to kind of clear it out, you create space to call it in, to really call in those people in your life that will be able to meet your needs. Now, if you are someone who wants partnership in your life, not everyone does, and I want to respect that, but if you do, your partner isn't going to meet all your needs, right? That's just impossible. Barsha and I meet many of our needs. We meet the most essential ones, the ones that are non-negotiable. But every day we're changing. Every day we have new emotional needs. And I know that in owning my emotional needs, if this is something that she can't meet, I know that I can go and get them met somewhere else. I have many people in my life that serve very different needs for me. So that is another empowering aspect of really, really owning your emotional needs, is that you are left with so many options to be able to meet it, that you're not placing this need external to you and having that need live within this one person, right? It's not their need, but that's often how we become in relation to it when we're really not taking ownership over it. We hold that expectation external to us in that one person. And so if they can't meet it, the fear is that everything crumbles down, when that's really not the reality. That need is yours alone, to own, to nurture, to get met. So I also want to talk about the fact that this week I have been getting in touch with my emotional needs more than ever, more than in years, because I've been in this heavy grieving process with my cat having to leave this physical world. And I talked about last week and in the other videos how I really do wear my emotions on my sleeve. And I don't think that I'm actually the most emotional person I know. I have a strong analytical mind too. My mind helps me a lot. But I do wear my emotions external to me. And so I emote I emote my emotions. I express them, rather. That's expressing emotions, emoting, right? So I express my emotions, whether that's happy, sad, angry, confused, worried, right? I kind of put it all out there. And so a need that comes with that is to have my emotions mirrored, and to have other people in my life that can kind of come in and meet me and mirror them and empathize with me. And having that experience brings me back into kind of stasis. It kind of clears it away. And so this week, I have been just experiencing huge surges of emotion as my grief and sadness have surfaced in these kind of waves. Feeling a little bit more stable right now. That's why I'm coming on video with you all. And I have really, really had to own that and reach out to people to be able to connect with them through that experience. And it has really allowed me to kind of, more than ever, just really come in this beautiful acceptance of how I am emotionally and what my emotional needs are, and how simple it can be when you really take ownership and understand your emotions and understand your needs, how simple it can be to have them met. Because when you're not putting all this pressure on it, then you'd be surprised by how people do want to meet that need. Not everybody, but your emotions will find those people, right? Your highest self, who knows that you deserve to have these emotions need, will find those people that will meet those needs for you, that will meet you there, right? So it's a really beautiful process, and I just wanted to say that. And my emotional needs have been changing hour to hour, sometimes minute to minute. Sometimes I am, just needing to chill and take a walk and take a bath or nap. I'm napping a lot. And then I'll be bawling my eyes out and I need to talk to somebody right away, So it's been a process of really meeting my emotional needs where they're at on such a small segmented process. And I work for myself, and so I am allowed the flexibility to do this. I know that so many of you who might be going through something emotionally really difficult, you have to show up to work and kind of put on the mask, and I know how difficult that is. But I do know that also, you are given that time to kind of come home and take that mask off and kind of come back home to yourself and be able to get those needs met. So whatever your situation is, right? It's so important to kind of regularly, it's teaching me this week that it's so important for me just to regularly check in with myself when going through something kind of huge like this, and then honoring my emotions every moment, knowing that my emotions and my highest self aren't separate. They're not at war with each other. The emotions are, as I've talked about in the previous videos, how I always have something very, very important to tell me and will help me get into alignment with myself. They're not going to, if I really, really listen to them, they're not going to send me off on this wild, long tangent, right? And I know I've talked about in other videos, listening to your emotions is very different than giving into them and allowing them to overwhelm you. So I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you for watching. And again, my name is Charlotte Eléa, and I am hosting this Embracing Vulnerability Challenge and series. And please come on over to my Facebook group if you're not already a member, the Sacred Sojourner Space, and join us. And we're doing prompts every week where we're drawing cards on all the different aspects of owning our emotions and owning our, finding the power in our emotions and our vulnerabilities. This week is all about owning our emotional needs. So come on over and come on over to my website as well, dreamintuition.com, where I offer one-on-one intuitive counseling And I will have a couple groups coming up in the next few weeks as well, and they're in the planning stages. I also offer intuitive tarot readings and dream work as well. All right, thank you all for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye.